Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today's video is a little departure from all of the project panning and collection videos that I've been doing. I'm bringing to you a full tutorial of a natural makeup look such as this one. I am currently doing courses for makeup artistry school and I'm learning lots. And one of the first looks that we absolutely had to nail and learn and get very proficient with is a natural makeup application. What does a natural makeup look even mean? Well, we want it to look like your face, but just slightly better. And I feel like this look has achieved that. I feel like myself, but just elevated. I also wanted to mention that this is not a step-by-step of what I learned in my makeup artistry courses. This is a combination of that as well as my own experience doing makeup on myself and others for the last 6 years. And also I'm teaching this to you for real life, right? When we're sitting here on camera, or when I'm sitting here on camera, we have all of this studio lighting and it really lights things up. But sometimes that means that we then have to apply more makeup for it to show up on camera. But that's not what you guys need. What you guys need is a tutorial to follow that shows you how to apply makeup for your real life, for out in the nature, the world. That is what today's video is going to be. I'm very excited to share it all with you. I want to say from the get-go that if any of these steps are something you wouldn't normally do or that you're not interested in trying, feel free to skip ahead to the next step. Another thing, use what you have. Don't buy anything. I will of course have everything listed and linked down below, but the point of this video is not for you to buy the things and use the things that I'm using. It's to go into your own collection and pick products that are right for you, your skin tone, and your skin type. Speaking on skin type and skin prep, we're not going to be covering that today, though if you would like a separate video for that, I'm more than happy to film that and share that with you. But that is so dependent on your skin type and the type of makeup you're using, and I didn't really feel like it should be included here. Same goes with base matching foundation. I would love if you guys are interested to film a separate video on how to base match your foundation, but again, that's not what the focus of this video is. So with all of that said, we better get into this. This is a very long video, but I didn't want to leave anything out for the purposes of time. So I hope you'll save this video so you can refer back to it or watch it in pieces. And if you would, before you forget, hit the thumbs up on this video to let me know that you're excited about this natural makeup application tutorial. And let's go ahead and get into it. All right, are we ready for this? I do have my skin prepped with the Embryolisse Lait Cream Concentrate. But basically this is just a multi-purpose cream. It's moisturizing, it's a makeup base. I just like this. It gives a nice base for makeup. This is not gonna make your makeup last longer or anything, but you will be sufficiently hydrated. I do feel like it does something to smooth my skin out and prep for makeup. Before we jump into foundation, I do have a couple of areas that I want to spot conceal. Again, we're not going to be color correcting today, but if you do need to spot conceal anything, now is the time. So I do have this little friend down here, and then as you can see, I have, you know, fair amount of darkness over my upper lip, and those are going to be the two areas that I'm going to conceal. I'm using my NARS pot concealer because this is a matte concealer, but you can really use any kind of more full coverage matte concealer for this step. I'm taking kind of a pinched fluffy, but this is pretty dense. Could you go in with something more flat like this? Absolutely. But for me and this product, this is the type of brush I like to use, and I just pick it up from the pot. I'm gonna go ahead and just tap this over the front, okay? Not blending it or anything, and go over the upper lip. You're gonna wanna always apply your product first where you want the most of the product to be. That doesn't just apply to eyeshadow, that also applies to concealer, foundation. I don't typically blend this out too much because we're gonna be putting foundation over top. So see, you got a nice little concealer mustache here. So for foundation, you can use whatever you want, whatever your little heart desires, whatever you like on your skin. Today I'm going to use my Glossier foundation, and mostly because this is just a middle of the road foundation. It's got medium coverage, it's medium weight, you know, it's somewhat lightweight. We'll start with one pump. If we need more, we can put more out. We're gonna take our flat top foundation brush. It can have as much give or density as you like. It really doesn't matter. The more dense it is, however, the more coverage you will get. So for foundation, we wanna start in the center of the face, and here's why. Typically, most discoloration or imperfections are more so in the center of the face. So we start there because we want the most coverage there. So what I'm going to do is I have my foundation on the back of my hand. I'm just going to pull a little bit away from the pile and really sit here and load my brush. I'm turning my brush and making sure that the entire brush is coated with product. However, my personal opinion, and for real life makeup, is that you don't start on your nose, because the nose, I feel like, is what gives away the indication of makeup, whereas other places not as much. So I'm gonna start in the center of the forehead and work outward. So starting right here and just pressing. And this is not a beating your face like we do maybe with our sponges, but just lightly tapping and spreading the foundation. And then, of course, if you need more, you can load your brush up with more. I'm not quite there yet. I think one of the most common misconceptions about natural makeup is that you're wearing less makeup. And yes, that's true, but it's more about the application. So now I'm ready to pull a little bit more foundation out from the side and work that into the brush by turning and pressing it into the brush. Again, skipping the nose, I'm skipping this area because I don't need a lot of coverage there since I have that matte concealer. So now what I'm gonna do is start with my cheeks, but I'm gonna start again right here, closest to the center of my face, and work that coverage out and then down. We're just lightly pressing this into the skin. Not forgetting to bring it down towards your jaw. When you get to a point like this where you don't have much product left on your brush, that's when I like to go in and apply to my nose, because I want the least amount of product there. Really make sure you get into the sides of the nose and underneath. Going back in for the rest of the foundation now. As you can see, one pump was plenty, and especially because you're targeting those areas where you need more coverage first. And then you're just kind of spreading it into the other areas. And I'm going over that little friend that we had, but not much, because the more you press over it, the more you're gonna lose your coverage, which is why I'm not doing over the upper lip yet. All right, I think that looks absolutely beautiful. So now what I'm gonna do is take my sponge. Now, if you were doing this as a makeup artist, you'd be using one of those little triangle sponges, and I'm not really into that, but I will say this. With your sponge, you do want to squeeze out all of the water that you can. Absolutely squeeze it. Like, here we go. Couple drops, that's all that came out. The sponge is ready to go. So, and again, we're not gonna beat our face with this. We're gonna use light pressure to keep our coverage. Oops, I forgot to go over this area though, lightly with the brush. There we go. We're just pressing lightly. All we're trying to do is make sure that those little hairs on our face are pressed down, that we pick up any excess product. You're gonna want to be careful taking this over any areas where you don't want to lose coverage. So up here, we're gonna be careful. I'm not going to take this much over the upper lip either. Another way that you can finish off the foundation and make sure you don't have excess and things like that, besides using a sponge, is just to use another clean foundation brush and just kind of go over everything. And that also will help you keep your coverage if that's, you know, a worry. So moving on to concealer, I'm going to challenge you to pretend you're a makeup artist today and to put the concealer on the back of your hand. So I'm going in with my long comb. I love this concealer, and I'm just gonna put some on the back of my hand. So I'm using that same little concealer brush that I used for the spot concealing. And I'm picking some up just like I did with my foundation. I kind of just pulled some away and picked it up, loaded the brush. Again, you're gonna start where you have the most darkness. So I'm gonna start right here. And if you have deep hollows in your inner corner, you can start there as well. And you're just going to press this under the eyes. Now we're just applying here, just like we did with the foundation, and then we'll go back in to blend. You can either use your finger or you can use a sponge. Already that deep darkness is going away. So I'm just picking up a tiny bit more. I want to turn my head so I can see that dark circle there. I do get quite a bit of darkness right in this pocket in here, so I do like to conceal there sometimes. And I'm just going to tap this out with my finger first and see if I think I need the use of the sponge or not. And honestly, I don't feel like I do. Look at that. So much better in my opinion. And that's it, that's concealer. All right, so for this next part, for setting, I'm gonna give you a few options. First of all, you could choose not to set your face at all, depending on the type of foundation that you chose. If I had used my Urban Decay Face Bond, I probably wouldn't have set my face, but I will say that I'm 42 and I have oily skin, so I do typically set my face. I don't always set the under eye, but today I think I will just a little bit. So I'm gonna start off with a pressed powder for under my eyes. You can use your loose powder or anything else. This is just what I use. I'm gonna pick a little bit up on the tip here. You can see right here. And I'm gonna press this into the back of my hand, working the powder into the puff a little bit and taking off any excess. Make sure you tap out any creases and then go for the gold. I like to go like this, and usually once or twice is more than enough to smoothen out that area. Another option for setting under your eyes is the same thing, but use a very soft, very flexible eyeshadow brush to set under the eyes. And now we're gonna do loose powder. Today I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty Easy Bake powder. I'm going to put a little bit in the lid here, and then I'm gonna take this little bit smaller, a little bit softer, wispier brush. A lot of times I'll use this powder brush or this powder brush, and those work just fine as well. Whatever you have, use what you have. But I do like this one for more controlled powder application. So what I'm doing is I'm picking up some of the powder, okay? And then I'm taking my palm of my hand and doing the same thing we did with the puff, which is kind of working that powder into the brush. And then I'm gonna do pressing motions like this. And this is where this little bit softer, a little bit smaller brush comes in handy. I'm gonna set most of my face, but you certainly don't have to. You can just apply in the T-zone if you like, and depending on your skin type and your preferences. Again, picking up more powder, working it into the brush. Areas you want to pay attention to is around the nose. Again, less is more on the upper lip. So once I feel like I've gotten most of the powder off of the brush, that's when I'll go ahead and lightly set around the mouth. You could definitely do this step with a powder puff. If you're very oily like me, you just use your best judgment. Now hold on to that, whatever your powder brush is. Don't let that run away yet. For bronzer, depending on your face size, your face shape, use your favorite bronzer brush. Here are a couple of mine. I do like this more fanned out brush here, plus it has a little bit more give in terms of pressing the bronzer in place, but this one also works and is a little bit more targeted in case you struggle with placement of your bronzer. So I'm going to use this brush today, and I'm also going to use my Fenty Beauty Sun Stalker bronzer. This is the shade Into Sun. And what you're looking for in a bronzer is really something that's just a couple of shades deeper than your skin. Now, going over face shapes in this video would be a lot, but I think what's more important is just knowing where the sun would naturally hit your face. If you're outside and you're getting a little sun because you were naughty and you didn't wear your sunscreen, the places where the sun is going to hit, maybe right here on the bridge of the nose, definitely at the top of the forehead, or maybe even in this area, definitely along the tops of the cheekbones. And you can feel, don't be afraid to feel where your cheekbones are. This will also help with blush placement because you can feel the end of the cheekbone here and you don't want to go beyond that. I'm just going to pick up a good amount here, and we're going to start at the forehead. And you can kind of see, you know, where my sun damage is exactly where the sun naturally hits my face. And so here we go. And we're just pressing. We're not swiping. We're not swirling anything just yet. Keep in mind that we have that powder brush on reserve, and that will come in just a minute, okay? So I'm just pressing that in. Look at that easy, natural definition. We didn't swipe or anything like that. We're just pressing. I want just a tiny bit more up in the hairline here. Okay, beautiful. Easy peasy, right? Same thing we're gonna do on the cheekbone. Start at the hairline where we want the most pigment and work our way along the cheekbone. Again, feel where the cheekbone stops. It's right here. So your bronzer should not go ahead of that or further than that. See? Nice natural definition. And build just slightly. Beautiful. Now, here's where that powder brush comes in, right? No extra product on here. Make sure we're all free from extra powder. And this is where you can do a little bit of light blending. We're not scrubbing the brush against the face. See how the brush is just barely moving? It's because of the light pressure. I call it wet cat pressure because it's the amount of pressure that you would use if you were approaching a very wet, a very pissed off cat. So keep that in mind, wet cat pressure. And we're just going to lightly make sure that this bronzer is blended. And you can see already what a difference that little bit of bronzer makes on this side of the face versus this side. I like to make sure I get it up in my hairline. Some people are a little more funny about that, you know, getting makeup in their hair. My hair is dark enough, it doesn't really matter. It's more believable if you don't have a line of demarcation at the top of your hairline there. I personally like just a tiny bit on the bridge of my nose. I'm not going to connect it and do the wave or the W technique, but just a little color in the center of the face. And then I like to do a tiny bit on the chin. Now, as for the jawline, technically speaking, you wouldn't put bronzer there because unless you're hanging upside down from the monkey bars, that's not where the sun hits naturally. For blush, there's a couple of different tools you can use. I like sometimes to use a paddle brush like this, and especially with matte blushes. And then you can have just a, you know, a smaller almost version of your foundation brush that's a little bit more rounded on top. I like this for more glowy blush, which we're not using today, but to kind of buff the blush into the skin. And so for blush, you're going to want to, for this type of look, think about your lip color and think about the lip products that you might use to create a My Lips But Better lip look. So, you know, looking at my lips, they're mostly pink. They're a little bit mauve. So I chose to go with this one from MAC. This is their Sheer Tone blush formula in the shade Blush Baby. And as you can see, it's very similar to my lips and even more similar to the products that I'll be using for my lip look today. What we're gonna do in terms of application is start the furthest back on the cheekbone. Again, this is a part where you're gonna wanna feel that cheekbone and you're gonna feel the top of it. It's almost, you know, like this line right here, the top of the cheekbone, and then it stops right here, okay? That's where you're going to apply your blush. So don't be afraid to fill your face. Don't be afraid to put your finger right here and make sure you don't go too far inward, because that's what will reduce the believability of this natural makeup look. So I'm gonna pick up some on my brush, okay? Get some on there, okay? And then I'm gonna go like this on the back of my hand just to work the product into the brush and take off any excess. So again, we're doing patting, tapping motions, and we're just going to start back here and work our way forward, and again stopping right here. And how far you bring it up is really up to you in preference. I like to bring mine up a little bit, but that's just me. So that's kind of what we're looking for. And then powder brush, we're going to go ahead and blend. And then of course, if you find that once you blend, it's gone away too much, you can add more. I'll add just a tiny bit more here, specifically right here on the apple. As you can see, a lot of this it's not hard. It is really just about techniques that you don't see being applied in YouTube videos very often. And things like this, like having a bare brush that you use to blend things. I really love these techniques, and when applied, they really make a huge difference. So there we go, that's our natural blush application. For highlighter, these are my favorites. These two are very similar. This one has a lot more flexibility, whereas this one holds its shape a little more so. And then you can also use something like this, which is more of a targeted type highlighter brush. So what we're looking for today in a highlighter is a glow from within type of highlighter, and something that's going to be similar to your skin tone so that it looks like a natural highlight and not like a streak of highlight. So the one that I really love for this type of look is this one from Laura Geller. Another good one would be maybe the Essence Pure Nude highlighter if you were wanting to do something like that. And I like this one because it is two-toned, so I can get something that's a little bit closer to my skin tone if need be. So I'm gonna pick up right in the center here. I'm gonna just tap on the back of my hand to make sure that the product is evenly distributed on the brush. And we're just gonna go on the cheekbones, not a ton, okay? A little bit, just very lightly. I personally like to apply my highlighter before my blush, so that's definitely an option, but I'm showing you the right way. And then of course, other places that I don't personally love a highlight on the tip of the nose, but I do like a little highlight on the bridge of the nose and a little bit on the Cupid's bow. Nothing crazy. And then for me, I like to go back in with my blush brush and sort of blend that in because I find that it kind of skews a little bit of the color of the blush. So just beautiful, natural kind of glow. All right, before we go into brows, we're going to apply some eyeshadow primer. If you don't have an eyeshadow primer, that's totally okay. I personally have to have one. I have oily skin and oily eyelids. So the one I'm using today is the MAC Prep and Prime 24-hour Extend Eye Base. I take a little bit like that and, you know, share that with the other finger, and then I just apply with my fingers. I like to apply to the lid first because that's where I'm gonna want the most tackiness. Spread it all the way up to my brow. But again, you could use a matte concealer if you have to. That's totally okay. I definitely recommend setting it with a translucent powder. I do anyways, even with an eye base. I typically will set with a light translucent powder. But, you know, again, use what you have. Use what you have. We're all about that on this channel. So now we're gonna do brows. And this is gonna be kind of a loose tutorial. I think everybody kind of has what they like to do with their brows, and this is just one of the techniques I've been using lately. If you have beautiful brows, you can just go in with a tinted brow gel, but what we're gonna do is comb up the brows, comb them into the shape you would normally wear them. As far as color goes, again, you can use a tinted brow gel, you can use a pencil, which is what I'm going to do, but you can absolutely use a brow powder, a eyeshadow. I've done that before. However you like to tint your brows, this is when you would do that. And I'm just going to briefly show you how I fill my brows in with pencil. Just put the pencil on the side of your nose and make a mark. That's where your brow should start. See my little mark? And then we're gonna just lightly kind of trace a line under the brow, completely under. All right, just to get that shape. That's gonna make a big difference already compared to this brow, right? I do fill in a little bit in the front, just tiny little strokes. And then I just kind of fill in the rest of the brow with pencil, just light little strokes and no other defined line. The only real defined line is under the brow. You put the pencil on the side of your nose and the outer corner of your eye. That's where your brow should end. Another way you can find where your arch should be is by taking your pencil and going through the center of your eye. You can see that's where the arch should be. But just with that little bit, we've really defined the brows. And so then we're going to take our spoolie and very gently, one more time, comb through the brow. And then we're gonna set it in place, and that's it. So I'm going in with this Comfy Free the Brow. It's a clear brow wax gel situation. Anything works. And the only thing you need to know is the front. You typically will comb upward, and then once you get more toward the middle of the brow, you start combing the hairs outward. I have set my primer from crease to brow with just the same translucent powder that we used for the face, and I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So the palette I'm using today, and you can use any palette that you already have, okay? I'm using Patrick Ta Major Dimension. If you're not sure whether you have cool or warm undertones, I have warm undertones. You can probably see I do carry a fair amount of yellow in my skin, so that is a very easy indication that I have a warm undertone. But if you don't know, go with neutral tones, and that means that they look neither warm or cool. The first step is we're going to take an ivory eyeshadow, and this one has a tiny bit of sparkle, but nothing crazy, so it will work for this purpose. And we're going to sweep that over most of the lid and around the tear duct and this tiny little part under here on the lower lash line. And this is going to give us kind of that fake awake look. And I'm going to first apply it to the lid. I'm using a flat eyeshadow brush for this, and this is not a shimmer shadow. This is meant to be just a matte. Then we're going to apply this on the tear duct right here. Again, it's giving us that awake look. And then just a little bit on the tip of the brush and right here, kind of right before where your lashes start. And look at that. I feel like this eye looks a lot more awake than this eye. So that is the first step. And of course, if you have a beautiful, rich skin tone, you just want to pick something that's a few shades lighter than your skin tone. All right, keep this brush. We don't need to swap brushes. We're going to continue to use this one, but we are going to pull out a clean, fluffy blending brush, okay? And now we're going to go into a taupe eyeshadow. Mine's just ever so slightly warm from this palette, but this is going to be a transition shade. And I'm going to pick the product up again on the tip of the brush. Okay, tap off. Now this is what we're going to do. We're going to create a V, and that V is going to go right here at an angle on the top lash line. It's going to come up and it's going to go in to the crease like that. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. Picking it up, I'm going to first start right here, and we're going in at an angle, okay? We're just kind of applying it there, pulling it out, and then we're going to apply into the crease, but we're kind of doing it almost at a straight angle, okay? Going down and then going in. Once you have the shadow applied, that's where the clean brush comes in. I'm gonna bring that in and just lightly wet cap pressure, super wet cap pressure, and blend it. If I want to make sure I'm doing light pressure, I'm holding the brush almost all the way at the end, and that's where we blend. So down here and then into the crease. And whatever type of blending motions you want to do is totally fine. This is not technical. This is very easy stuff. Right now we're just contouring the outer part of the eye. Very easy. That's it. That's that first step done. And this, again, another step where we're using one brush to apply and the other brush to blend. And pulling the eyeshadow out like I'm doing here just gives a nice elongated look. I'm also going to take the same brush and the same shade here and apply on the entire lower lash line. Make sure that your upstairs and downstairs are connected at this outer corner, okay? So just taking some on the tip of the brush and bringing it in, but not going over that white or ivory shade that we already placed there. Next, we're gonna take a pencil brush, something like this, and we're gonna go into a dark brown eyeshadow, which is gonna be this one right here for me. So we're gonna pick that up, tap off your brush. You always want to tap off the excess. You can add, but it's very hard to remove, okay? And we're gonna make a smaller V now, okay? So I'm coming down at an angle like this. And you don't have to use a brown this dark. This is just what I'm doing, and mostly so you can see it. But bring it down like this, and then make that V going in to the crease, okay? Very easy stuff. We're drawing a V, and then, you guessed it, bare brush, and we're gonna blend until we like the way it looks. Isn't that pretty? I mean, it's just so easy. You really can't hardly mess this up. don't want to try and blend too much with the pencil brush because that's just going to continue to deposit the color versus diffuse the color. That's why the bare brush for any step really, for, you know, if you're doing foundation with a brush, you can use a clean brush to blend foundation. Same with cheek products. I'm gonna take just whatever's left on the brush and bring that down on about the outer third of the lower lash line. And then I'm gonna also take this brush and go back into our transition, but we're gonna tap this basically over the edge of that darker V that we made. Okay, just tap this over, and that's gonna help diffuse even more and blend. So easy. It's real, you know, it's not that technical. If you're finding yourself frustrated, you're trying too hard, because this is really simple stuff. You just slap it on and then blend it, and that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna take a fresh flat brush here, flat eyeshadow brush, and bring back in just a little bit more of that ivory shade right here. Just making sure we still have plenty. See, brighten it up. I'm gonna take the brush that I used for setting my primer now and give just one more blend with a completely bare brush. I love it. Okay, let's curl the lashes. We're getting closer to being done. If you don't like to curl your lashes, don't curl your lashes. I like to curl my lashes, and I just make sure I get them all in there and give them a little press. Make sure you're not too close to the lash line. You should not feel a pinch, and you don't need to like flip it like this or any of that crazy business unless you're super curl challenged, in which case you probably already know how you like to curl your lashes. Now for mascara, I really don't have a lot of tips for you. If I'm being honest, there's not really much to it. I will show you one little trick that my daughter does that I absolutely love for my eyelashes as well. I'm using today the Sephora Big by Definition mascara because this is my most straightforward mascara, and it's a good one. I like it. So what I do is I hold my brush up and down like this, and I kind of take it and touch the tips of all of my lashes, the very ends, to kind of define them so that I can see where I need to follow through. Does that make sense? So then I tilt my head back and look down into a mirror. I like to start at the roots of my lashes after I've done the tips, and just go through and apply, and then go back to the beginning and start doing those long strokes, which are gonna give us the length. I don't twist my wand, I don't zigzag my wand or anything crazy like that. Just do how you like to do. There's really not really a wrong way, in my opinion, to do mascara. And I just got some on my cheek, see? Not a pro. And then you can make the decision whether you want lower lash mascara or not. I always do. Well, not always, mostly always do. And again, just light pressure. Light pressure is the name of the game when it comes to mascara. I'm gonna let this little boo-boo dry before I try getting it off. Look at that. What a difference mascara makes, huh? I like a dry Q-tip to remove mascara bits that I get anywhere, but you can do whatever you like. I know a lot of people say to use like a bare spoolie. I find that painful. I don't like doing that. I feel like I want a little bit more blush rather, and then we'll move on to the lips. And this time I'm gonna go with this one. I feel like I need to really buff this blush into my cheeks today. But again, starting at the back and working forward. And again, super light pressure. Wet cat pressure. Like I said, we're looking for My Lips But Better products. This is my Holy Grail lip liner because it is my lip color but better. And as I've gotten older, I have noticed that I've lost a lot of pigment in my lips. So that's the way I like to start. A lip liner is 100% not necessary. You don't have to have it. You could use a slightly deeper shade of lipstick if you wanted to define the outer part of the lip, or just go without. I also want to challenge you to try a lip brush, but let's first line the lips. Wow, I need to sharpen this. This is my brand new MAC Whirl. I'm so excited. I don't think I said that. This is the MAC Whirl lip pencil. This is my third or fourth one, I think, in this same shade. So how I like to start is on the bottom part of the lip, okay? Just doing a line. Not overdrawing on this part, okay? Then I'm gonna come up to the corner and bring it down. Okay, same on the other side. Beautiful, nicely defined, okay? Gonna do a tiny bit of this in the corners, okay? So like this. Okay, beautiful. Now we're going to the top, and this is the important part, okay? It's important that you use the directional directions that I'm giving you, because we're going for rounded at the top of the lips, not pointy. Now, if you like pointy, you rock on with your bad self, but I'm gonna show you how to get that rounded look. We're gonna break this line in about half and start at the halfway part and bring it down to the corner. And you wanna do kind of a slight smile with your lips parted in order to do lip liner on yourself or anyone else. So it's like this, right? Cute. Now we're gonna go back to the halfway point and bring it up and over, and that's going to allow us to make a more curved line versus something pointy. So start here and up. And once you have that curved line there, you can, you know, fix it or mess with it however you want. And just fill in down here a little, right there, okay? Same thing on this side, down. And then like so, and that's it. Now, you could use your lip brush if you're gonna use one or not. I have this one. I just like this for smudging. So just soften, but you can also use your fingers and just soften all of the lines. We want it to define the lips, but we don't want it to be the lip color, so to speak. That's that. And now, my lips but better shade of lipstick is Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, the original. And again, I'm going to challenge you to use a lip brush. Why? Because it's going to give you a more natural application. Could you just dab it on and then, you know, whatever with your finger? Sure, you can, and absolutely do it that way if you want to. But I'm going to show you the lip brush because I really do think this makes a difference in terms of a very natural lip look. So we're gonna mostly place this in the center and work out of the lip. And you want to blend it just a little bit with the liner. And that's why I like the lip brush. It gives just that perfect amount, plus it helps blend. And definitely has more precision than a bullet as well. That is our lip color. Isn't that pretty? It is definitely the color of my lips, but just a little bit better. And the cheeks are looking good. Let me pop off of here, do something about the hair, and then I will come back and we'll wrap up the video. All right, I'm back and this is the completed look. I will also pop on here and show you the makeup in natural lighting, because that's the point of all of this, isn't it? It needs to look good in real life. I'm learning makeup artistry, and there's all kinds of reasons for makeup artistry, but a lot of them are real life and a lot of them could be for film or television, and so the techniques are different. You're gonna wear more makeup by default if you're going to be on film because of all the lighting and stuff. So, but this is for every day for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you would consider saving this as a resource to work with in the future if you're struggling with a certain step of your makeup routine. Please let me know down below if any of the videos I mentioned throughout would be interesting to you for individual videos, such as base matching your foundation, color correcting, anything like that. Let me know. And I also wanted to say, from this part of the course, the natural makeup application, the next step in the learning process was to transition this look from day to evening. So let me know down below, would you guys like to learn the transition from this makeup look to an evening makeup look? You don't take this makeup off, you just work with this, what you already have on, and transition it to an evening look. So let me know if you would like to learn that as well. I'd be happy to film it for you. I hope you're having a great week so far. I feel like I am. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful, effortless, and fun makeup days. And I will see you in my next video very, very soon. Bye.